exercise of loving solitary spirits in their solitudes, of the infinite love of God in his fruitful expeditions unto men. Continuation of the same subject. Fourth title and contemplation. What are you saying to me, my love? What are you saying to me in the very sweet and very desired manifestation that you make to me of your face, the beauty and splendor of which ever compel all the blessed celestial spirits to gaze upon it and desire it more and more in their enjoyment, as their full paradise and their total felicity? Arise, you say to me very sweetly, hasten, my friend, my beautiful one, my dove, and come inside the cleft of the rock, inside the cavern of the wall. I am in earnest, my love, I am standing up, very desirous of following the trail of your footsteps, in the unspeakable ardor of my love, but yet I do not know whether I am hastening to run after you by the ways of your solitudes and pains, of spirit as well as of body, as I must, which I still desire to do with a rapidity that is suitable and sufficient yet discreet, not tending to extremes. But, my love, what if I am accustomed to walk in your way and after you? How much better will my desired speed be to satisfy your love and mine? Who will it be, my life and my love? Who will it be who will be able to stop me, or what will it be that will be able to stop me in the running of my course, at the end of which you await me to receive me within the cleft of the rock and within the cavern of the rampart, all this designed just for my own very desired and very delightful retreat. These are the sacred wounds which love itself inflicted upon you by itself all over your sacred body, among the great number of which there are 5 of a different breadth, openness, and depth distinct from all the others. It is there that you invite me, to introduce and invite me into there as the place of my supreme and desired repose, to render me a full participant in the sacred delights of your entire self, which flow continually from these wounds for the supreme good and luster both of your church and of each soul of your faithful and most intimate friends, your very dear brides. That, I say, is where I am tending toward as my desired term. For, alas, my dear life, I find myself here surrounded by so very many miseries, which keep me languishing in their full breadth, that I do not know what to do nor what to become nor, very often, how to lift myself out from under their grave weight. But, trusting that, in your goodness and love you will set me free from this cruel servitude forever, I desire never to slacken, nor relent the activity on the path along which your love animates me, sometimes secretly, sometimes perceptibly and quite manifestly. And you, who are waiting for me so as to refresh and relieve me in my loving ardor at the end of the course, to usher me into the pleasant lodging within your soul and your loving heart, through the sacred doors and entryways within you, namely your sacred wounds which you received in the ardor of your love and in your excessive sufferings, to lodge me in the most intimate part of your entire self and within your loving heart, so as to transform me and you within yourself, in the totality of yourself, to make me drink with pleasure the very savory wine with which those most intimately enamored of you are abundantly filled and inebriated to the point of having a surplus, in the abundance of which I am often constrained, as by belching, to push out love itself, with which I am inebriated in abundant and excessive words which make people judge me to be crazy rather than conscious and in my right mind. Now it is thus and within you, O my love, that often I enjoy paradise on earth without reflection upon this or that, totally attracted and enraptured by you as I am. I enjoy you abundantly in ineffable sweetness. In you I see, not yet at that time of enjoyment, but at my return from there to myself, not only that every man is a liar, but that every creature and all creatures put together are nothing. And nonetheless, you esteem creation so highly as to fill it to the measure of its loving capacity for you, in your divine sweetness, in which and wherein all are better and more voluptuously plunged and lost in the immensity of your loving sea than the little fish are plunged and lost in the elemental sea of this world, their own felicity and repose. There you show to your friends your ineffable beauties and secrets, which make so gentle and so sweet an impression in them that they are more and more enraptured by the sights so sweet and delightful, and more plunged and swallowed up in the sea of your immense love and essence, within which they enjoy in a certain sense the goods and ineffable riches of the blessed themselves. These, having returned from there to themselves, are more desirous and hungrier for you, both in what they have seen and known of you and in you, as well as beyond and above all that in the totality of yourself. So they do not know how they can satisfy you, or with what of themselves or in themselves, and how they could worthily and sufficiently pour themselves out through love and in love before your divine majesty, which takes all its pleasure in cherishing and caressing them, drawing them for this purpose all the way into itself, where and in which it constrains them often enough to stay quite a long time. And what is, moreover, admirable in this is that, since this must not last forever, but since one must come back to oneself by necessity, this, I say, is granted to the soul to enter, as many times as it pleases, into its agreeable and loving resting place, which you yourself are in the most intimate part of yourself, where it is and lives, almost as much as it wants. And although this may not happen so strongly, abundantly, and ardently, nonetheless the soul satisfies therein its hunger and its thirst for the very excellent love that you pour out upon it more or less for this purpose. But as all this life in itself makes such souls fail on their own, it is sometimes of necessity that they force themselves to face the exterior, to go out to works and the recreation of the senses. Otherwise, without a doubt they would fail completely. The mystics speak quite excellently of such effects and operations of God within his intimate brides, which is no wonder when it comes to the love and the good pleasure of God, who takes his pleasure from and in whomever he pleases, delighting infinitely, in a manner of speaking, in filling these souls with his love and his joy at one time in order to overwhelm them in their totality and in the totality of himself at another time. That which one would scarcely know how to express in the diversity of so many effects that happen successively is what the mystics have, wisely and in the way they should, approximately categorized under different means and under diverse gradations and states. But in effect what it is a question of is to run where we already are, for while we are not entirely enraptured by God and in God, through the total suspension of all our powers, we must run the course of love or in love or above love. Thus it is impossible for the faithful bride not to run whenever it seems to her that love is insufficient. Draw me then after you, O my spouse, and we will run to the odor of your ointments and your perfumes, for just as nothing as delectable as their sweetness is to be found, so nothing stronger or more attractive is found to make the bride who is touched by and filled with this fragrance run lovingly and breathlessly after you the course of love, full of love and of its sweetness and divine gentleness to the point of abundantly overflowing with it. It is found to be so, O my love and my life, for souls inebriated with you, indeed so very inebriated and full of the delicious must of your excessive love that they run like fools without reason from the point of view of men oppressed by the flesh, who know neither their wine nor its effect, neither their fire nor their oil, neither your ointment nor its odors, neither your love nor its slaves. These, I say, seeing the gestures and movements of such souls which seem to them greatly wayward and uncouth in their course as well as in civil conversation, in the course, I say, that they run after you in the lane of love through you and in yourself, in civil conversation when they must of necessity converse with others. For, while some have and are only the life of the senses and of an animal, these are wholly divine above all spirit, visible and known to others, except that spirit which is known to their peers. Some, I say, are carnal, duplicitous, dissipated, not only in present objects of the senses, by which and in which they are captivated, but besides all that, in all the confines of the earth. Oh, what diversity, my love! What a contradiction to see flesh and spirit in two bodies separated and distinguished by number. For, my love, one of these is spirit elevated above the body, indeed in spirit very far beyond the senses and all their appetites, to which it is entirely dead. I say even better yet, and more excellently, that some, in soul as well as in body, are entirely dead to such a sensual life, save what is commonly used and necessary in order to live. Who will believe this? But I myself say, whoever does not believe it does not have it at all, for to the one who has it and is dominated by it, sensory objects and their delights are very bitter death and poison. Now then, going to the opposite extreme, spirit sees, knows, and tastes the spirit. That one knows, I say, that it is and must be so, but far above this inadequate little expression. It is persons such as these, O my love, who contemplate you in stability and immobility, suspended in simple vision of you in your infinite and naked beauty, receiving there the stability of theirs and firm constitution. Divine impressions of your very secret notions, which you pour into them very abundantly in your sight and through yourself, in the sweet, delightful, and impulsive activity of your divine flow and of very simple and unique loving fire. Tell us then, O holy souls, who enjoy this pleasure in its own originating source, if it is true. But if it is not true that the delights of God, your dear spouse, are with the children of men, then prove me wrong. Does it not seem to you that you experience often the paradise of the blessed? Thus, my love, it is a marvelous thing to see you so abundantly and profoundly flowing into your creatures, and, in this and through this itself, you play lovingly with them as to enrapture, inebriate, and madden them with your divine love as they see and believe themselves to have passed over and been transfused into your divine fire. In this way they are so enkindled and captivated by your infinite beauty and ardor that never ever will they leave you through a deliberate intention, nor would they even want to, things having, I suppose, attained the state of your love and perfection. Although it is true that I acknowledge always and everywhere liberty to the soul. But the fact of the matter is that the appetite is occupied, and not only occupied but filled, and nonetheless it always hungers and thirsts for you, in its ardor and languor, but because of being imprisoned by the laws of the material world, which detains it, aggravated beneath its weight and vigor, and by all other unwanted factors, and this is what makes it really experience, see, and believe that it does not enjoy you in supreme and total accomplishment according to its full capacity. And this is why this appetite desires the dissolution of its bond with the body with unthinkable ardor, so as to be fully able to enjoy you, in full and entire satiety outside, but ever without reflection upon the past, although it sees it and knows it well. Nonetheless, your object and your fire, enamored through the sweet efforts of its infinite glory, will enrapture the person so much in all his senses and his own powers within him, in all the immensity of yourself, that in this infinite view, and always in the same ardor and glory, and always in the same rapture of love, there is nothing to say except to say that the past is forgotten. But so much has it been forgotten and vanished that it is as if it had never been. Insofar as such perspectives have for these souls been turned and changed into admiration and to praise above admiration, so that this is far from them in their simple vision, yet they have a sort of simple certitude of these, as of things, I say, which although they are theirs, have never touched them in anything nor belong to them. For if there were more of these, without a doubt there would remain in them an emptiness and consequently something to be desired from God for the climax of their full felicity from Him and in Him, which is as far from reasonable thought as the object in and of itself is noble, so as to satisfy superabundantly all from Him and in the totality of Himself, without the creature ever varying nor being able to vary from there in the very gentle and very enrapturing effort of its eternal and objective view. Behold, my love and my life, according to what you give me of yourself and in yourself, your infinite fire accompanying your very dear brides here in this life, a fire which is quite different. Indeed, infinitely different from the same fire exercised and continued in your same brides after this life in their overflowing felicity in the totality of yourself. And since my supersensual deductions would enrapture me with this subject and negotiation if I were to linger upon them any longer, I leave it all to you, in my eminent view and contemplation, seeing and penetration simply and by simple, supereminent and total anticipation in order to leave it to be formulated and told and not to be seen. Thus, my love and my life, and by this, your brides know not what to do or what to become in order to love you worthily and sufficiently in this life, running as they do in great haste, indeed with ardent, timely rapidity. The course of love totally full and illumined with all your infinite love, inside and out, as if crazy in the sweet inebriation of your infinite love. At other times, in love and charity, they run the same course with similar rapidity and activity, though without luster and without love, both above luster and above the same love. This is what they do in the secret force that you operate in them by the same love, which has become simple and spiritual at the breath and very simple flow of yourself into their higher and lower powers, totally enraptured, condensed, unified, and melted into a simple point, so to speak, to this effect. But the bride herself would not know how to tell the abundance and diversity of ways and paths where you have led her throughout the time of her course and all that you have made her experience and very happily cross over. In this way, abandoning herself into your hands, she at last finds that she has arrived and been led to the point of her consummation in the ardent furnace of your loving fire. Yet I leave off here explaining about this, and the means your Majesty has stored up in itself for this consummation. And although she may be above all that she is where she is from you in the totality of yourself, she still feels and always will feel interiorly as well as exteriorly aggravated and bowed down under the burden of her weight, which having been corrupted and corruptible, needs to be clothed with incorruption and immortality so that it can be like one single thing, a single subject and true totality, clothed with the glory of your infinite majesty for the redundance of its own soul within. By the virtue and act of the soul, the body will be like the soul. Now then, what is this, my life and my love? Who will refuse war for the sake of such peace, work for the sake of such repose, hatred of self for the enjoyment and repletion of such love, poverty for the enjoyment of such abundance in all satiety? So it is for all the rest of the contrasts between this life and your own life. These contraries all together will be one and the same thing. All the good things one could wish for accumulated together in each one, and for each one of your brides in the totality of yourself. O happy bride, you who rise and walk with large steps. O exceedingly happy bride, you who rise and hasten along at a lively pace. But even happier and holier are you who run your course with ardent, unslackening rapidity. but incomparably happy above all others are you who, in the effort of your activity and rapidity, are soon seen to be flying instead of running. So it is, my love and my life, so it is, that one who has life for you, from you and in you is happy even in the region of the dying. No, it is not really the region of the dying for them nor for what pertains to them, but of the living who live by the true life and in the true life which you are diversely and more or less in all your friends. For although they work and they agonize and they languish, yet they live at the same time from you and in you, not only in the knowledge and belief of men, who, I say, not knowing at all your life nor their human life, esteem them to be unhappily dying. Yet they're indeed dying to themselves, those who, being so lost and hidden in you, esteem themselves quite often, in their most painful efforts, to be dead and reduced to nothing, and so to be totally forgotten by you. In this way, they then complain to you as they can, in their extreme desolation, not seeing any vestige or trace of themselves for their well-being and repose, not even glimpsing it from afar. So, their loving resignation and abnegation making them adhere to you fixedly, but in spirit and nakedly very far from the senses, they live thus and by this eternal practice of you in the totality of yourself, without ever seeking repose or contentment elsewhere or otherwise, considering that such souls will never be satisfied in yourself except by the last point of your divine and human similitude in their whole selves, which they might lovingly attain in the entire consummation of their whole selves within your very loving fire in the ardors and kindlings from which they live from you and in you, often unknowingly. In this the diversity of ways, gradations and states at this depth are as diverse and greatly numerous as the number of your friends is great and numerous. The way and the holiness of these friends are totally hidden from men, indeed even from those who have your spirit, in certain things and in a broad sense. See those who stay outside, engaged only in holy action. These, I say, calumniate quite often those persons of sovereign holiness whom they do not even know, given that their life is not even manifested to them and is totally contrary to theirs. I leave off explaining all the fundamentals of this truth and the causes and reasons of these diversities between one and the other. Now then, it is thus that promptly and with discernment I choose my abode in your humanity and in your divinity, into which I have rapidly run in order to enter in and lose myself there irretrievably. There is my repose. I will remain there since I have raised it up.